In an age long before fire, before tools, Earth was a world ruled by giants. And in this dangerous world, our earliest ancestors were not hunters, but prey. Giants walked the earth, creatures so powerful that a single stomp could end a life. To survive, they climbed, hid, and ran. Survival was not strength, it was strategy.
Night was their greatest enemy, for they had no fire, only darkness.
The shadows hid predators that saw them as easy meat. And every step outside safety meant risking the future of their species. For the first humans, even the sky brought danger. But the storms, they brought something else. A clue to the future. For the first time, they saw fire, not as a weapon, but a mystery.
The light pulled them closer, though they did not yet understand it.
For generations, fear held them back. Fire was a god, untouchable. But nature was slowly teaching them, lesson by lesson. They watched how animals reacted. The brave survived, the wise thrived. In a freezing world, warmth meant life. And yet, they had none. And in their hands lay the secret that would one day change everything. Without fire, they were vulnerable. Every night was a battle. Their only defense, the courage to appear bigger than they were.
They were not hunters, they were opportunists.
Every meal was earned under the shadow of giants. And water, life's promise, was another trap.
Death waited everywhere, but so did opportunity.
They learned to follow death, to find life. A broken stone became the first spark of intelligence. And that edge would shape the destiny of our species. With every discovery, their world grew a little less frightening. But the giants still ruled, and humans were still fragile. They knew the fire had power. They just didn't know how to claim it. Nature kept reminding them, this force could be theirs. And someone had to take the first step.
This was the moment humanity changed.
A mistake, a burn, pain. But progress always begins with pain. They didn't master fire today, but they learned. It could be touched. And from that spark would one day rise the first true humans. As dawn broke, the land awakened with giants, and our ancestors learned to survive in their shadow. They could not overpower these beasts, but they could outthink them. Creatures so large shook the earth with every step. reminding humans how small they truly were.
To survive, they mastered silence, learning when to move and when to disappear.
For one mistake meant being hunted. Their instincts sharpened, not with tools, but with fear.
The young learned quickly, for childhood was not innocence, but training. Death often approached without a sound.
But unity became their shield. Alone they were prey, together a challenge.
For the first time, courage became a weapon. And with every victory, they learned survival was possible.
But survival meant following the giants themselves.
For where the giants moved, food, water, and life followed.
They became expert scavengers, finding opportunity in death.
And with every scrap of flesh, they grew stronger. The taste of meat fueled the brain that would one day reshape the world.
Storms taught them fear and taught them respect. Yet nature was unpredictable, powerful, violent, unforgiving.
The world was not designed for them, yet they adapted.
They watched how animals sought refuge and copied their behaviors.
Memory became their earliest tool.
They learned to read nature's warnings long before language existed.
Knowing when to flee was as important as knowing where to go.
And height became the first advantage they claimed.
With sight, they mapped the world, long before maps. Water was life, and finding it was a triumph. For danger waited, even in the safest places. Every mistake carved a lesson into their memory. And so, they learned to observe first, act later. Even predators revealed safe paths, if one learned to watch. Nature offered gifts to those who paid attention. With every new food, their courage grew with their hunger. And sharing stitched their families together. After every fear came hope. And sharing stitched their families together. After every fear came hope.
A world full of giants, but also full of lessons. And with each lesson, our ancestors took one more step toward becoming human.
They began to notice shapes, textures, possibilities. For the first time, choices were made, not by instinct, but by thought. And thought spread. Spread.
A simple idea, but a beginning of something extraordinary.
Knowledge, once discovered, refused to stay silent.
And so wisdom passed, not by words, but by demonstration.
Yet danger remained ever present.
But now, they were no longer helpless. Noise became a weapon long before blades were born.
Confusion bought them precious seconds.
Fear united them, but intelligence organized them. And victory tasted different now. Earned, not borrowed. So they pushed forward, searching for more than survival. They watched the smallest creatures and learned from them. Insects became a reliable feast in a world of scarcity. And the stick became their first extension, an extension of thought.
With every discovery, survival became less desperate.
They learned by watching the world, by stealing ideas from nature. And so began the earliest experiments. Repetition became memory. Memory became culture. For the first time, food could be planned, not just found. And accidents became revelations. They realized distance could be turned into power. With each throw, strength found purpose. They could now chase away danger, not just flee from it. For the first time, survival held moments of play.
Bonding strengthened their tribe, gave meaning to togetherness.
But intelligence meant little against the wrath of nature.
The storm tested every lesson they had learned. They sought safety where the earth held them close. Fear carved truths deeper than hunger ever could.
And when the storm passed, something inside them had changed. They did not just survive the world, they learned from it. And with every lesson, they took one step closer to...
They dug through mud and roots, searching for anything their bodies could accept. Without fire, cold was not just discomfort, it was death slowly closing in. Their bellies were often full, yet empty. Leaves filled the stomach, but not the spirit. To them, a single fruit meant hope, and sometimes a reason to fight. Hunger created competition, quiet, tense, and always on the edge. They hated it, but survival never cared about taste.
When storms came, even rottle meat disappeared. Hunger became an enemy they could not outrun.
Their bodies were fragile, but their will to live was stronger than the worlds they walked. This was nature's test. Before fire, before tools, only the